There are two other highlights I wanted to share featuring Kamala Harris's interview with Bret Baier on Fox News. And so the issue of President Joe Biden's cognitive decline came up. Let's see how that exchange played out.
You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out, even people who worked for him in the Oval Office.
I'm gonna let you take this one, John, before I jump in.
Look, it's not a great answer in that it doesn't really hide the fact that she doesn't feel comfortable talking about it. Like you could believe that she's being honest and saying, in implying, not even really saying, implying that she doesn't think that Joe Biden has any issues going on. But I don't think most people believe that she believes that. So it's not a great answer in that way. And I do think going so hard on it as Bret Baier, it seems not irrelevant right now. He is the president and there was sort of a cover up, but it's like, it's getting in the territory of irrelevant. He's gonna be president for a few more months. She might be, Donald Trump might be. I think it's a fair thing to bring up, and she is being evasive. So I think it's it's like bordering on a waste of time, but I don't think it's unfair.
I totally agree. It's not unfair. I think that it's a perfectly fine line of questioning. Kamala Harris should expect this question. And in fact, I totally hear your point about how this is irrelevant because Biden's not going to be in office much longer. However, what Bret Baier is trying to do here is show whether Kamala Harris is a dishonest actor who covered up Biden's cognitive decline. Like, that's the intention here. And look, I think that there are a lot of Democrats who did just that. I don't know what Kamala Harris knew. I don't know how close she's been to Joe Biden during the Biden administration. What I do know is there was definitely a concerted effort by the party to cover up the fact that Joe Biden was not fit to run for another term. Yeah. And it infuriates me. Like, guys, everyone should be furious about the fact that that happened, okay? If you are a hardcore, loyal Democrat, you're a card-carrying Democrat. I don't know if there are card-carrying Democrats. I know that there are Republicans who claim that they did that. But anyway, you should be upset that that whole cover-up put the Democratic ticket in a far worse position to beat Donald Trump. Because had Biden stepped down earlier, or had Biden made the decision, hey, I'm not going to run for a second term, well, then that would have set up a far better situation for the Democratic Party to choose the best possible candidate and give the best possible candidate ample time to campaign and beat Trump. So anyway, I think it's definitely a legitimate question to ask, and I don't think she answered it well. Now, she did answer something really well, and apparently it was a question where she was kind of being baited into trashing certain people in the country. Apparently she didn't do that. Let's take a look.
Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States, why is that happening?
This is an election for President of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within.
Yes, there we go. That was smart. I love that. I love that. That was smart. Don't trash voters. Like, don't scold voters. Don't shame voters. It's just a losing strategy, number one. And I don't like it. Like, I think she handled that really well. That was my favorite answer from her.
Yeah, I think that her obligation and her strategy should be very different from, other people in the media or whatever. Like, we might have to have, tough conversations about different, segments of the electorate and everything, but there's little reason for her to do it. Yeah, she, like, again, would he ask the same question to Trump? I don't know. And I love that she points out, like, she focused on the fact that he talks about the enemy within, which is, I think, the worst way that he talks about people who disagree with him. And he goes even further, saying that, like, people who criticize judges should be locked up. Like, he wants to see people deported for protesting the war. He wants to see them locked up for exercising their free speech. Like, that's terrible. But it's also like, he'll just say, if you're Jewish and you vote for the Democrats, you should have your head examined. Like, that's rougher than just saying you're ignorant. He said that of black voters recently. If you're supporting the Democratic Party, you should have your head examined. Look, you could say he's being folksy or whatever, but he's also being insulting, particularly when the vast majority of those groups don't support him. He's talking about not just some of those groups, but the vast majority of those groups. And so I agree. I like the way she handled it much better.
Yes, I, by the way, had mentioned on the show today that he said that Black and Latino voters who don't support him should have their heads examined. And it's like, no, you're not entitled to anyone's vote. Clearly, you haven't made your case to those individuals, right? My favorite is when he goes after Jewish American voters for not supporting him because of all the wonderful things he's done on behalf of Israel. Like, it's so insulting to just assume that every Jewish American person in this country prioritizes Israel before they prioritize other things, like policies that impact them in this country. But all right. Yeah, the entitlement drives me crazy. But let's talk a little bit about some of the initial reactions. So look, from the get-go, the interview was met with some pretty strong negative opinions, especially from Donald Trump, as we talked about earlier, and MAGA World, because I guess they didn't think it was a good idea to have her interviewed on Fox News. Now, remember, Trump especially has been sour due to a bad interview he had in 2023, where he called Bret Baier nasty and unfriendly. On Monday, he posted the following: lying Kamala Harris has wisely chosen Bret Baier of Fox News to do a much needed interview because he is considered to be fair and balanced, though often very soft to those on the cocktail circuit. He's not, though. I mean, he was actually pretty, I wouldn't say vicious, but like, especially on the immigration a line of questioning. He wouldn't even let her finish her point. He kept interrupting her. And then he did ask a lot of tough questions. I would have preferred seeing a more hard-hitting journalist. Get out of here. But Fox has grown so weak and soft on the Democrats, constantly polluting the airwaves with unopposed Kamala representatives. Is that true? Is that true? Fox News has wall-to-wall interviews with Kamala Harris supporters. Is that really what's happening?
I've never seen one, maybe.
Okay. But you guys get the point. He was upset about it. Now, some of Trump's supporters, unfortunately, jumped on the bandwagon, alleging that Fox News and Bret Baier, would just go soft on her. By the way, like, I personally know what this is like. We're about to have a conservative on, whether it's, what was that guy's name? Not interviewed him. I ended up debating him. The guy with the fake school.
Kanye West.
Prager, yes.
Oh, there you go.
Remember, like, Prager, people were like, why are you gonna have Prager on? How could you platform him? I mean, because I want to have a little bit of fun. Okay, because sometimes you want to talk to people you disagree with and you want to be able to challenge them or find areas of common ground. Like, it's okay to have conversations with people. And when it comes to a presidential election, a place that refers to itself as a news organization is going to have to interview members of both parties. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I can't stand that mindset. But, Bret Baier responded to a lot of them. Who cares? Point of the story is Kamala Harris had some strong moments during that debate. And I think it's good that she decided to do it on Fox News because, she's done a lot of very friendly interviews and she was getting a lot of criticism for doing that and refusing some more of the hostile interviews. This interview with Bret Baier was definitely hostile and he asked tough questions. And I think she handled herself well from what we've seen.
I agree. Yeah, I haven't seen the whole thing, but so far I think, not bad. Not bad.
Yep.